Hello and welcome back to the NMP Symposium. For this session, we will be here with Mike Garofalo and secrets you should know about the rare coin and bullion business. Mike has been in the industry for 42 years. He's worked with wholesalers as well as retailers in all different aspects of the industry: coins, bullion, currency, you name it. So a lot of knowledge wrapped up in this one. And this is a very special session because we will actually be doing a giveaway at the end. You may or may not be aware, but Mike has recently released a new book entitled Secrets of the Rare Coin and Bullion Business. And so at the very end of this presentation, we'll be giving away 60 copies of that. So we'll put up instructions on how to claim your copy at the very end. And I think that's it. Let's get started. Mike, you may take it away.
Thanks, Leon. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the Newman Numismatic Portal for hosting this symposium and giving us this opportunity to chat this afternoon. I'd also like to thank my good friends at the Gray Sheet Publishing for publishing my book and making copies of that available to the marketplace. And I'd like to also thank APMEX for all of their help in creating the book and making sure that it was out there in the marketplace and people have an opportunity to look at it. The reason I wrote this book is I've spent the last 42 years in the coin business, and literally I've answered thousands and thousands of questions during that time period from collectors and investors on all different topics, and most of them are in the book. So we're trying to take a logical view here and help you understand what you have, and most importantly, how you can enjoy the hobby and get the most out of it, because that's really why you're doing it. So let's begin. The subtitle really is how to really understand and enjoy your hobby. And that's really what the focus of this book is. We want you to go and enjoy it. You know, coin shows can be daunting for collectors, and it really should be fun, and you shouldn't feel a lot of pressure. So what I'm trying to do is impart some knowledge here that will help you make more fun out of this and enjoy your hobby a bit more. So the things that we're going to cover are these topics, and I'm not going to list them all here, but essentially it boils down to knowing what you have, knowing the category that it fits in, how to value it. That's one of the most important things, and that's true whether you're buying or selling. You don't want to pay too much for something, but you don't want to sell it for too little when the time does come. We'll discuss what affects the price, how to price things, the different venues for buying products and selling them, and the things like black swan events that can really affect the pricing and the availability of certain products. We'll talk about certified coins, raw coins, CAC, grading, everything that's listed here. So let's get into it right now. So first and foremost is you need to know what you have. That's the most critical thing. Is it a bullion item? Is it a semi-numismatic item? Or is it a numismatic item? That's the most important thing, is determining exactly what you have. And, bullion can often become semi-numismatic in nature. And what I mean by that is, bullion items, the value of them goes up and down with the spot prices. Semi-numismatic items really are bullion items, older issues usually, or limited edition issues that have now become collectible. People want to buy them. Here's a good example. If you own a Krugerrand. Now, the Krugerrands were the very first bullion coins ever minted. And that was strictly their purpose, was to allow collectors and investors to buy bullion and own it. When you look at this now, they were first issued in 1967. Krugerrands dated 1967 through the early 70s trade for significant premiums over the bullion value. Why? Because people have turned them from strictly bullion items into semi-numismatic items. There are people who are putting together collections of Krugerrands. And that's just one example. Pandas are another great example of that same thing. Backdated pandas really are semi-numismatic items because they're collected, people like them, and they enjoy them. And then you have numismatic items, you know, rare coins, exonomia, currency, all of these things fall under the realm of numismatics. They can have precious metal in them, or they can have no precious metal at all. Or the value of the precious metal can be so low that it really doesn't affect the price, spot price moving up or down, really doesn't affect the value of that item. Numismatic items are more a matter of supply and demand. That's what really moves the value of those items as opposed to the price of bullion. So knowing what you have is very important. And I do want to say this, though, that if you're unsure about the bullion item that you have, is it really collectible now? Is it now a semi-numismatic item? Probably one of the easiest ways to determine that is to look at various dealers' websites online. You know, go to all of the larger dealers, Golden Eagle Coin, AppMax, JM Bullion, LCR Coin. Go to any of these dealers and look for those items and see what they're charging for them. And remember, again, you know, you probably may not get that same full retail price like the retailers are getting, but you will know how big a premium they're charging over the spot price. And so if you're selling it to a dealer, it gives you some idea as to what you should be charging for those items. So don't be afraid to look around from various sources to be able to determine what the value of the items that you have actually are. All right, so now one thing that's really important is, and lots of collectors have asked me this over the years, is, okay, what should I collect? And that's a hard question for anybody to answer. And I usually say something like, well, what do you like? What interests you? What are you most interested in? What types of coins do you like? If you like collections where all of the coins look similar, you've got things like Morgan dollars or large cents or Lincoln cents, or whatever it is that you happen to like and that you can afford and are comfortable with. That's great. If you don't like things that are all the same all the time, then you might want to collect something like classic commemorative half dollars, because there you have 50 different types, 144 different coins in a complete collection. And, you know, some people even using the picture that we have here, some people even try to collect them in the original holders. So again, you know, there's it's almost endless, the different combinations of things that you can collect. But the most important thing is for you to look at what's out there. What interests you? Are you interested in the history of them? Are you interested in the appearance of them? Are you interested in the saleability of these items? I generally discourage people who are asking me for advice about chasing whatever happens to be the hot series at the time, because you wind up paying more of a premium for that. Or are you somebody who just simply wants to accumulate bullion? You have to make that determination for what you're comfortable with, what you're happy with, and most importantly, what you enjoy. Why do this hobby if you don't enjoy it? If it's a business and you're just in it to make money, that's one thing. But most collectors, you know, are always hope that they're going to make money off of what they bought. But it's the thrill of the hunt, finding the right items, and the joy of finishing different collections and starting the new one. That's the challenge, and that's really the fun of it for most people. let's talk a little bit about premiums. And this chart that I have here, these are typical premiums. And when I say typical premiums, um, these are not today's inflated premiums. Premiums are not down from most things right now. Premiums tend to be a bit higher than they normally are. And the reason that they are is COVID came in and changed things. I got into the coin business in 1979 on a full-time basis when the Hunt brothers were trying to capture the silver market. And normally what happens is prices go up, demand goes up, but then the supply meets the demand and prices generally go down. And even in markets where that's a little bit tougher, as spot prices generally go up more, the premiums tend to come down a little bit. The dealers are selling more, they're selling more for higher money, so they tend to knock their premiums down a little bit. But that's not the case today. What COVID did was it stopped the available supply from being as plentiful as the market needed it to be. The supply couldn't meet the demand. Products were quarantined all over the world. Mints had to go on, put on, multiple shifts, but people had to socially distance from one another, even in the manufacturing side and the shipping side. So productions are way behind still where they were, say, in 2019 pre-COVID. So that's one thing that you should know. But if you look back at these premiums, these are the typical premiums that most dealers will charge for things. And I've broken it down between generic items, the very common items, things that are a little scarcer, that, they're not common items. And some of them are a little bit difficult to find, to really the rare items, which always bring strong premiums. And in particular, in markets like this that are very strong. Something else you should know when we're talking about premiums on bullion items and on pricing, which items are generally cheaper. My experience has been that if it's a matter of rounds or coins and you really don't have a preference one way or another, you're going to find that rounds are cheaper. And the reason for that is people prefer to buy coins. Most collectors prefer that, and even some investors. There are some investors who they are the very most price conscious people out there. They want to get the most silver or gold for their money. And that's really what motivates them. And for those folks, they're going to buy the cheapest item, and that's usually the rounds. But many collectors prefer coins over rounds. And the difference between a coin and a round is something that anyone can manufacture. Any private mint can do it. Any coin company can have them made by private mints for them. It's a fairly easy process. A coin obviously is issued by a sovereign mint, and it has a value stated on it. Now, let's talk about that value for a second. Just because a silver eagle says $1 on it doesn't mean that that's the value of it. You still have an ounce of silver. So that's the premium that you're really paying. You're paying for the price of an ounce of silver. And the dollar figure on it is arbitrary. No one, if you could take it to the bank and deposit it for $1, but you wouldn't want to do that. But it does mean that it's backed by the full faith and credit of the sovereign nation that issued it. So, in that respect, coin prices are higher. When it comes to rounds or bars, which ones are cheaper items, that often is based on just supply and demand. Sometimes rounds tend to be cheaper, sometimes bars tend to be cheaper, but they both tend to be cheaper than coins are, because coins have that cachet, that the fact that they have a value, in addition to whatever their spot value is, makes them a little bit more in demand and a little bit more expensive. And can I buy precious metals at spot prices is a question that people, have often asked. And, the simple answer to that is no one can buy it at spot prices. And why I say that is sovereign mints, private mints, they all have manufacturing costs and minting costs and advertising costs. And every dealer who handles those products needs to make a profit on them in order to be profitable and stay in business. So when somebody is talking about spot price is just an indication of where you're going to pay for something. If the spot price goes up, great, the value of what you own goes up. But on the other end, the price of what you haven't yet bought is now more expensive. And it's the premium where you have a little bit of leverage. You can talk to the dealer. Most dealers will offer a premium, a discount on the premium if you're buying multiples of the same item. So you have a little leverage with premiums, but you should know that the difference that buying precious metal coins or bars or rounds at spot prices is a very difficult, if not impossible thing to do. And that's important to know whether you're buying or selling. So let's talk a little bit about some of the sources that you can use for pricing rare coins. We've already covered, the spot price and the premium for bullion. Now with rare coins, how do you price them? How do you know what a fair price is if you're looking to buy something or if you're looking to sell it to someone? In the old days, when I was a collector back in the 60s, it was easy. Dealers would buy products at Blue Book and they would sell them at the Red Book price. It was very simple. Prices didn't move very much. And you waited for the new books to come out each year to see, whether you had made money or had lost money on things. Prices weren't what they are today. Today, they're much more commoditized. That they trade online 24/7. So it's an entirely different market, but in the old days it was much easier. Now that's not to say that the Red Book is not a valuable tool right now. It's an extremely valuable tool. I've always had one on my desk. I use it every day, but I use it for information about a coin series I may not be familiar with. And what I mean by that is, gee, what's the mintage? Is this a better date? Are these lower mintage than something else is? It has a tremendous amount of important and valuable information in it, but it's not what I generally use for pricing. Magazines, Coin Age, Coins, they're great for making you aware of new products and pricing. But remember, the prices that they show are really snapshots in time from when the magazine was first published. So, you have to bear that in mind. The pricing today is just like any other commodity, if you will. The prices are constantly moving, and with the different trading networks, you can buy and sell products all the time. And you also have eBay, which is a great venue for pricing. We'll get into prices on eBay shortly, but the idea is, though, that coin prices aren't what they once were, which was very stable, and you could sit back and not worry about whether the price would be higher today than it was yesterday. And let's talk about eBay right now. I'm going to give you this little caveat, which you should know. eBay is a great place for pricing. Last time I looked, there were over 1 million US coin listings out there. So if you're looking for something, that's a good place to try to find it. But you have to be careful, because as you can see in this example, here's an 1881 Carson City Morgan silver dollar, PCGS graded in mint state 66. And at the time that I looked at it, one seller was offering it for $1,963.72. And another seller was offering it, and these are both buy it now prices, for $1,175. Why is there such a huge disparity in price? Well, there are no guardrails on eBay. Sellers can ask whatever they want for the price of their coin. A more effective way to use eBay for pricing is to look at the completed transactions rather than the current offerings. The current offerings can be exceptionally high or they can be really bargain priced. You still have to be careful as well, because from the time when the item was listed, has the market changed? So eBay is a great place to look for coins or currency or bullion items, but you have to be careful and not think that when you find it, oh, gee, this is a great price. This is a great indication of how in the same day one is a much better deal than another one is. A lot of dealers and collectors use auction comps, and these are completed prices that the prices that were realized in a recent auction. Now, most pricing sources will give years worth of prices realized. And that's important if you have a very rare coin that doesn't trade fairly often. But there's also some risks in just using auction comps as the right price. And what I mean by that is this. Is it a PQ coin? Was it previously in a great and well-known collection? Is the strike exceptional on it? Is the coin rainbow toned? What are the factors that have increased the price over the example of the same coin that you happen to be looking at? All of those things can affect the price to the high end. On the lower end of things as well, too, remember, most auction companies, when you're looking at a price that was realized, you have to determine whether or not the price realized that they're showing also includes the buyer's premium, because most auction companies charge anywhere from 10 to 30% to the buyer as a premium for the item that's sold. And that's really where the auction companies make their money. So if you're looking at something and it includes the buyer's premium, then that's really what the buyer paid for it. But sometimes if you're looking at auction prices, and it all depends on how the auction company reports them, and it's the bid price, then that doesn't include the other 10 to 30% that the buyer had to pay in order to complete the transaction with the auction company. So just when you're looking at auction comps, make sure you know whether those buyers' premiums are included or they're not. One place that I've gone to since the 1960s to start when I'm trying to price something is the gray sheet. The gray sheet has prices that are from real life bids, prices online on their exchange, and they also take into account prices that have been realized at auctions and through public transactions. So it's a great starting point, but then you also have to factor in the other factors that can affect the price. And again, I'm not trying to make this complicated, but just so that you understand everything that's involved in pricing, you really do need to know all of these components. So I use the gray sheet as a starting point for me when I'm trying to price an item that I have for sale or one that I'm looking to buy. But let's talk about some of the other factors that can affect price. One of those factors is strike. Strike is the amount of detail that the coin has after it is struck by the mint. And a coin can be weakly struck, have an average strike, or it can be well struck. A good example of those coins are buffalo nickels from the teens and 1920s from the branch mints, Denver and San Francisco. Those coins notoriously are weakly struck. So you might find a coin that has a pretty good strike and the dealer may not be asking a strong premium for it. That's a pretty good buy. You might also find a coin that is incredibly well struck, one of the first, strikes maybe from that set of dies, and the dealer is asking a huge premium for it. You really have to determine for yourself how important that is to you. I've looked at some Buffalo nickels over the years that are graded from the major grading services, 65, 66, that look like they're AUs because there's a lack of detail. But the difference is there's no wear on the coins. I mean, the coins are fully mint state. And with most coins, and as you can see here, this is the chart that's there is the NGC grading scale. This is what NGC looks at for coins to meet that criteria with respect to strike. And according to this, it could rank as high as a mint state or proof 63 for a coin with a slightly weak or average strike. Then at 64 and above, it has to be a better strike or well struck in order for it to get that grade. And that's in addition to the marks that a coin might have. So again, strike is an important factor. Now, some coins, let me give you an example, a Norfolk commemorative from 1936. They all come pretty well struck. 81S Morgan dollars come very well struck. Those coins generally strike is not a factor unless for some reason the coin happens to be, weaker than average, in which case then it should be discounted as far as the price goes. But one other factor is luster. When a coin's struck, the metal flows into the design and all of the different recesses in the die. And as pressure is applied, that's what strikes up the actual relief on the coin and all of the different design elements that are out there. Well, luster is the from the radial flow lines that are created when there's pressure applied. The luster is reflected back into your eyes as you hold the coin and rotate it under the light. So the amount of luster that a coin has can also affect the price of a coin. A coin that's highly lustrous, that has that cartwheel effect when you rotate it under a light, is really desirable. And in fact, if the coin is even lightly toned, it makes that toning look and appear to be more vibrant than it would be on a coin that isn't that way. I use that 81S Morgan dollar for an example because that's a coin that not only comes generally pretty well struck, but most of the examples are highly lustrous and have really good eye appeal. So, you might have to, depending on the coin that you're looking for, you might have to compare that coin to numerous other examples to see whether the coin that you're looking at, the one that you're considering, is average when it comes to luster and to strike, or whether it's above average. Again, these are things that will affect the price. The coin was bid at $2,000 for the MS-66 grade. It brought $69,000 in the auction. Why did that coin bring 34.5 times the gray sheet bid of the coin? Well, if you look at the coin, it's either incredibly attractive to you or the toning isn't something that you find desirable. And certainly a lot of people like the toning, but they're not worth, to them, it's not worth paying 34 times the current bid on it. But again, what you have to look at is how appealing is this coin to the bidders. Margaret Wolfe Hungerford said, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder." I think when it comes to coins and where toning is involved, really beauty is in the eye of the buyer. If multiple buyers want to buy the same coin, prices will go up. And here's a great example of a coin that brought much more than people thought it would, but it was because multiple buyers all wanted to own that exact same specimen. Now let's talk a little bit about, we've talked about pricing, we've talked about valuing coins. Where do you buy coins, and what are the different venues that you can use? And, let's talk about coin shows right now. There are benefits of buying coins at a coin show. There are lots of dealers there. There's lots and lots of inventory. You can compare inventories and prices. You can get second opinions on coins from your collector friends or from dealers that you know. And dealers generally are a little bit more competitive at shows price-wise because there's so much competition there. But the downside to it is this: there's so much competition. Where do you start? A show can have 1,000 dealers at it or more. Where do you start? Is that daunting? How do you begin? Comparing prices for similar coins can take hours or days. And that inventory doesn't just sit there. The dealers are trying to actively sell it. And you're not the only person who's walking around on the floor trying to buy things. The lighting might not be the best at the show or at a dealer's table. And you might also feel a little pressure to buy something while you're sitting at that dealer's table, taking up his time and real estate while you're looking at his inventory. But that's normal. Relax. Take a deep breath. Don't worry about that. You're there to add coins to your collection. You want to enjoy what you're doing. In order for that to happen, you need to relax and enjoy what you're doing. So don't feel pressured. If a dealer is pressuring you, there's a lot of competition in that room. Don't worry about it. You will be able to take your time and look at things, and no one's keeping you there. You can get up if you feel uncomfortable, get up and walk around, do something, go and talk to someone. The idea is you want to enjoy what you're doing and how your buying experience is. At a local coin shop, sometimes there are great benefits in buying from your local coin shop. And let's talk about some of those with the local dealer. That dealer might say, this is a good customer. I'm going to look for items that I know they want to buy for their collection. He can sometimes get you better pricing. The more business you do with somebody, the more inclined they are to charge you a little bit less. And he knows what you have, and he's not showing you the same coins over and over again. So there's definitely some benefits to buying at a local dealer. But there's a downside to the local coin shop as well too. The inventory that most dealers have is limited because the amount of funding every dealer has. There are some limits to it. Some dealers have a lot of everything. Some dealers have a little bit of everything. Some dealers just specialized in a few things. The dealer may or may not buy exactly what you like. You also may find dealers who say, hey, look, this is my price, take it or leave it. There's no negotiation, because he has no competition when you're in his shop. Every dealer has limits on their individual knowledge. So the idea is, what you want to do is you want to maybe look at all of these different venues and use them in conjunction with one another. Online buying is very important facet right now. Some of the advantages are there's great images that you can blow up to many times the size of the coin and see any imperfection that's there. You can shop 24/7. You can buy coins that have a provenance. There's a lot of competition. If you don't like the prices at one particular website, you can go to another website and do some comparison shopping between the two. And there's research and pricing sources available online for you. So there's less pressure when you're looking at something online as opposed to looking at it in someone's shop or at their table at a coin show. But there's a little bit of a downside to buying online too. If there's a new dealer out there or somebody who is new to you, how do you know who you're buying from? How do you know that they are legitimate and reliable dealers? Well, what are their associations? Look at that. Do they have a Better Business Bureau ranking? Are they ANA members? Are they PCGS or NGC dealers? Are they a CAC dealer? I mean, there's a lot of things that you can look at. One other possible downside maybe is it may be difficult to negotiate a better price, because if you don't buy it, there may be the next person who comes in and looks at that coin, sees it and wants to buy it, and that coin may be gone when you get back. So, and returns are another issue. You can discuss a return issue with a dealer, and if he will stand behind his coins. Whereas with you're doing something online, it's more difficult to do that. So again, there's pluses and minuses to every venue, and I want you to be aware of all of those and take those factors all into consideration. And let's talk now a little bit about buying coins at auctions. And there are benefits if you're looking at them online. There are tremendous images. All of the online auction companies really have great photographers who take wonderful images that you can really blow up and really examine the coins, so there are no surprises. Again, until the auction ends, you're available to shop 24/7. There may be coins that have a provenance, and they'll give you that history for it as well. Auction houses often offer convenient payment terms for you, and auction descriptions are very helpful. The thing you have to remember is, again, 10, 15, 30, up to 30% of the hammer price can be the buyer's fee. So know that going in. Know what the additional buyer's fee that you're going to pay is, because that's incredibly important. You might feel pressure if you're at an auction in person to buy something if you've been unsuccessful earlier. Nobody likes to sit there for 3 hours and have a list of coins, and you can't buy any of them. They go for higher prices than you had expected. So it's human nature, I think, to want to buy something. So you put a little pressure on yourself in order to buy something, and you may wind up paying a higher price for it. So a good thing to do is to set a price in your mind and factor in that buyer's fee on each coin and write that down, so that this way here, you don't get caught up in the moment and just pay a higher price for it than you'd like to. And remember, one other thing too is, if you're a consistent buyer and you're very good at paying, auction houses love to extend credit, which can be a problem unless you use it wisely. So again, take those factors into consideration when you're buying. But all of those venues, coin shows, local coin shops, online, and at auctions, they all have pluses and minuses, but smart buyers use them all and do some comparisons between them. Now, let's talk about Black Swan events. Right now we're still in the middle of one with the coronavirus. These are unpredictable major events that can occur worldwide that affects economies and lives, and they affect all markets: stock markets, bond markets, commodities, bullion, everything. Suddenly, without warning, access to precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, all become impossible because they're in great demand. Prices can jump up dramatically as demand increases and supply shrinks. You may also find that sometimes during a particular event, access to your cash may be limited, or you might not be able to trade out of some of the stocks and bonds in your portfolio, so, for hours or days. So all of those things can really affect you, and some in a positive way and some in a pretty negative way. The most recent black swan events are here. I mean, the attack on Pearl Harbor was, certainly a long time ago. The assassination of President Kennedy was as well too, but these are unpredictable events that some of us have lived through. The attack on the World Trade Center, 9/11, trading was stopped in the market, gold and silver prices went up. The housing crisis that hit in March of 2007, well, what happened then was the price of stocks and bonds, the Dow went down about 30% during that period of time. Several banks went under, but gold went up, and it went up dramatically during that period. In fact, between 2007 and 2011, gold went from about $400 an ounce up to nearly $2,000 an ounce. So these events can really have a tremendous impact on you. And we have seen that now with the coronavirus that we're living through right now. These things can happen without warning, and they can happen at any time. So what do you do? How do you protect yourself a bit to go through these things? Well, I always recommend to people that, try to, if you're interested in precious metals and you want to hold some of those, you should acquire a 10 to 20% stake in them as soon as you can. Buy them via the dollar cost average method, meaning set a plan. If you want to spend, $10,000, buy $2,500 a week for 4 weeks, or a month for 4 months, and just buy them at the market prices. And on average, you want to pay the highest price, and you want to have got them all at the lowest price, but your average price should be better. And then just keep them secure, but make sure that you can access those if you need them. Have cash available for emergencies as well, because your access to ATMs could be limited. Having money available to pay your bills, that's an important thing to do. And oftentimes what that means is that your collecting hobby might become secondary during these types of events. But remember one thing, to quote Albert Einstein, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. If demand decreases, it's a buying opportunity. And if demand is very strong, it's a selling opportunity. And we'll get into the markets all being cyclical in just a minute. But that's really something that you should do, is try to prepare now as much as you can for whatever the next black swan event may be. Now, just to show you, this is a chart of the Dow, and at the beginning of 2020, the Dow was around 28,000. And then coronavirus hit in mid-March in the United States. And you can see the impact that had. The Dow at one point in time had lost, over a matter of just a couple of weeks, 10,000 points. It was down in the 18,000 range. But then again, 4 months later, it was back up to 27,000. So there were lots of money that's been made on dips in the market. And you have to be aware of that. So it really, these black swan events do affect all types of things. In fact, here, while the stock market went down and the price of precious metals went up, the supply was not available. And that's why the prices have stayed high, and that's why premiums have stayed high as well. So try to prepare, think about these black swan events and how they can impact you and what your financial plans are into the future. So let's talk about the coins right now, and whether your coins should be certified or raw or a combination of both. Certified coins, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about coins that have been graded by an independent third party, but primarily by PCGS and NGC. Those are the two most reliable, most consistent, and most protected grading services. And what I mean by most protected is that the member dealers support the markets. They pay more for coins in those holders than they do for coins in other holders by other grading services. Yeah, I'm not condemning all other grading services. I'm just telling you that the most respected coins in the marketplace are PCGS and NGC graded coins. And they can be sold on a sight unseen basis. They're well suited to coins that are a little bit more expensive. They weed out problem coins. One of the first things that the grading service does when they get a coin is determine whether or not the coin is genuine, and then they go from there. Then, as they're determining the grade, has anything been done to this coin to improve the grade of the coin? Has it been doctored or cleaned in any way or altered somehow? And this is something that the grading services try to detect. And the fact that you're not just getting one person's opinion, the coins have been graded by consensus. There's usually 3 graders, and if the 2 graders agree on the coin, that's the grade that the grading company assigns. If they can't agree on the grade, then they call in a finalizer who comes in and makes that decision based on it. So, short of being able to have all factors considered by computers, which is impossible, even with technology today, it's one of the best and most consistent standards that we have. So there's a benefit to having coins certified, but not all coins need certification or should be certified. So let's talk a little bit about raw coins. Raw coins are just coins that haven't been graded. You may be putting together a collection of very fine Lincoln cents from 1909 to the present time. A lot of those coins, the value of them doesn't justify the coin being certified because you've got a cost involved with certification. So for some coins, being raw is the proper way for them to be. And you'll have a difficult time trying to find some coins certified where the value is significantly less. So raw coins, again, that when the time comes to sell, they need to be seen by the dealer in order to make a reasonable offer. And the other issue with them is too, unless your grading skills are not up to par, do you know that the item that you have is undoctored, not cleaned, unaltered? And so again, that's because the coin is not graded by an independent third party. The grade is not assured, and you may have one idea of what the grade is as the seller, and the buyer may have a different grade, or vice versa. So again, raw coins have their place, but for more expensive coins, most collectors today like to have coins that are certified. I'll tell you one very quick little story. I remember a dealer telling me at a coin show back in 1988, he looked over at me putting out all of my certified coins, and he said, a year from now, you'll have cracked out all of those coins out of that expensive plastic. Well, he could have been right, but he wasn't. A year later, I had more coins that were slabbed rather than fewer. And that's because it was an innovation of the coin industry that actually helped the industry rather than hurt it. It's not for everyone. It's not for every coin, but there are advantages to having coins certified by PCGS or NGC. Now, let's talk about CAC. CAC, Certified Acceptance Corps, reviews coins that are PCGS or NGC graded. And they only select the PCGS or NGC graded coins that they have determined are premium quality for the grade. If they feel the coin is premium quality for the grade, they put a green sticker on the holder. And for coins they actually feel are undergraded, CAC affixes a gold sticker to the holder. So you're going to pay a premium for CAC approved coins, but you should get a premium whenever you sell those coins. CAC coins have proven that not all certified coins are considered equal, that there are some coins that are considered to be better than others in the marketplace, and not necessarily better, but have a better eye appeal. Or it also helps you to detect coins that are undergraded. So again, you know, CAC has a place in the certified coin market, and they're doing the market a service. Knowledge is king. Everybody has said that. Knowledge gives you power. The more you know about an item that the seller does, you can make some really great buys out there. You can pick up varieties or errors or better dates. The possibilities are really endless. You know, many dealers don't have the time, or don't make the time to study the coins that they have in their inventory. So what you can and what you should do is learn as much as you can. Read, research, and study. Learn all that you can about the series of coins that you like. You know, you can become that expert. You can write about it and share that knowledge if you're so inclined. But if you have the passion and the desire to learn about it, that's one of the best things about this hobby. I worked for a large online retailer, and what I always told the people on my staff and my team were, you know what, I learned something new every day. And that's really what you can do if you apply yourself. So the old adage about buying the book and then the coin is really some of the best advice that you can get. And today, let's modify that a little bit. It's not only buy the book and then the coin, but look for the information on the web and then buy the coin, because there's tremendous amount of great information from a lot of great sources out there about coins that you like, about series that you like. So spend some time looking at them and studying them. But you know, that's a small portion of my numismatic library, and I use those books, you know, on a daily basis. They help me write about coins, but they also help me to understand the value and the history of them too. So it's really buy the book, then the coin, but also in addition to buy the book, look at the information online before you buy the coin. And for those of you who, you know, are not collecting, not buying bullion and not collecting, you know, US coin series, there's a lot of different organizations that you can join. There are lots of specialized books on it. A lot of the major auction houses will have auctions specifically for world or ancient coins or for currency. There are great organizations you can join, the Token and Metal Society or the Society of Paper Money Collectors. There are world coin clubs. Really, you know, as much time and effort as you can put into this, it will help you enjoy your hobby. The more you know about it, the less surprises that you'll have on the bad side if you're buying something, but the more knowledge that you have, the more you can share and the more fun that you'll have really with this hobby. You should also, again, focus on grading, learn to grade, improve your grading skills. Go to shows and look at coins. Go to major auctions and look at the grading of the coins that they'll have in their sales. Take an ANA grading seminar. You'll get good at grading, and then you'll get better at it, and then you'll get more consistent and accurate with it. The more coins that you grade, the more people you talk to about it, the better off you'll be. NGC and PCGS offer on their websites great links to their grading standards and how they grade coins. It's really great information, and the internet just has tremendous amounts of information. You know, I would tend to avoid the YouTube links that say that, you know, every golden dollar or Susan B. Anthony you find can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would spend my time more with the grading services or at dealers' websites where they're offering you really good and valuable information rather than fake get-rich-quick schemes. And when you're grading, Do it if possible when you're home in a darkened room. Use incandescent light rather than fluorescent lights. Even LED lights are not as good in some respects as incandescent lights. Incandescent lights are very critical of coins. They show hairlines real well. And remember, magnification is to see details. It's not to look at the entire coin. So if you're looking for a mint mark, or you want to see die clashing, or determine a variety, magnification is great for that. And remember, hold the coin under the light at an angle and rotate it, and take your time and go slow and feel comfortable that, yes, it meets that particular grade that you're hoping it is. Another thing, again, I strongly encourage is for you to join clubs, the ANA. Joining the ANA, they offer all kinds of benefits to you, discounts on insurance, and they have a lending library, but there's shows, but really going to local club meetings where you can make friends, where you can learn, you do a little show and tell, you educate people as they educate you. There's specialty clubs for pretty much for any interest that you have. Joining a club is a great thing to do, because what it does is it helps you learn more about those types of coins or currency or bullion items that you really like and enjoy. Selecting your dealers, we're almost at the end here. Again, some of the things that you should know and you should do, which will really help you, are these, is that find one or more dealers who will listen to you, not just talk over you. Find a dealer who will take the time to answer your questions. Somebody who really wants to help you improve your collection. He wants you to be his customer. Make sure you find a dealer who has a two-way market. They buy and they sell. Find dealers who really want your business and will take the time with you, and basically people that you can get along with and who you seem to like and they like you too. You know, it's much easier to do business with people who you like and who like you, and it's enjoyable then. And also find dealers who aren't just pushing something on you, someone who would rather not sell you something that you don't want. There are dealers out there, you just have to talk to them, see what they have, see how much they're willing to help you. And again, it's a two-way street. You don't want to waste their time, but particularly at a show, remember the dealer has a limited amount of time to recoup the money he spent on the show. So again, be cognizant of his time, but find the dealer who will like you. Most dealers will go out of their way to try to help you and answer any of your questions. If you're negotiating prices, again, be friendly. Dealers like friendly people. Who doesn't? Be knowledgeable. Remember that the dealer cost is something like a round gray sheet. And if you're offering less than that, and he can't replace it for what you're offering him, he's not inclined to want to sell it. Let your dealer make some profit, but don't let him make too much profit off of you. And don't expect to buy a coin that is fabulously rainbow toned or exceptionally well struck or has tremendous provenance from great collections. Just be reasonable. Have a reasonable expectation. Make offers that are reasonable. And, and again, too, if the dealer is in the middle of a deal, try to be patient and not try to interrupt him while he's in the middle of what may be, the biggest deal that he has. But on the other hand, if two dealers are there and they're talking sports, barge right in, because he's there to buy and sell coins. And one other important thing is, again, make sure that if you say to a dealer you're going to buy something, you'll be right back. Do it, because if you don't come back, your word doesn't mean anything. So again, don't make commitments that you're not comfortable with. It's just common sense. But remember, this is the basis for a long-term relationship, that you can trust the dealer and he can trust you. And finally, remember this, all markets are cyclical. Pre-33 goes up, silver dollars may go down, proof sets don't do anything. The markets change all the time. What's popular today may turn around and give back profits tomorrow. No market always goes up. No market always goes down. And I'm talking about the stock market, bullion markets, and the rare coin markets. So remember, diversification could be important to your financial success, not only with the stocks and bonds that you own, but also in your collecting habits too. You may love commemorative coins, you may love silver dollars, but having a little bit of other things as well is a good way to hedge that bet a little bit. Again, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All righty, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and have you turn off that screen share. It's that red button. You got it. Okay, so for everyone watching, we are going to do the Q&A, and then I'll explain how to enter the giveaway. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send them in. If you move your mouse around on that Zoom window where you can see our faces, there should be a button at the bottom that says Q&A, and you can type them in there. In the meantime, we do have a few that came in during the presentations. We're going to go ahead and get through some of those. Do you have any opinion as to why we've seen the grade of MS60 used so rarely in today's grading? It seems that AU58 to MS61 is the standard jump.
That's a great question. For a coin to be an MS60, it has to be uncirculated, nowhere, anywhere on the coin at all. But it doesn't have the other factors that fall into the higher grades, meaning it doesn't have tremendous luster. It doesn't have great eye appeal. It doesn't have great toning. And human nature being what it is, a coin that, is barely there, does it fall into an AU58 category more than an MS60? Well, from technically speaking, if the coin has no wear, it's a mint state 60. Oftentimes, when you find a coin that's a mint state 60, you can find an AU58 coin that is much more attractive than the MS60 coin is. And that's because it has a great strike, it might have good luster, it might have toning, but it might have the tiniest little bit of friction on the highest points. It's hard to find coins that are MS60, really for that reason, that the coin has to be completely uncirculated, but have no other redeeming factors. If it had something, a little bit of a strike, you give it a 61. If it has a good strike and a little bit of luster, you might call it a 62. Human nature being what it is, it's hard to find coins that are 60s. I know one dealer who has been putting together his own private collection of coins in NGC and PCGS MS60 holders, because they're a lot harder to find than some better specimens or some lower graded specimens.
Ready. Is LED lighting okay to use for grading?
It's very bright and it does show up things well, but in my opinion, and again, you have to be comfortable with this, while it shows up toning real well and it brings out colors really well, I found that particularly on gold coins, it tends to almost disguise hairlines. So what I know, what some people do, and I've done this myself, on my desk here, I have an LED circular light, and I also have an incandescent lamp. And sometimes I'll look at the coin under one and then shut it off and look at it under the other. And if I'm trying to photograph a coin, I shut off the incandescent light and I use the LED light. So the LED lights definitely serve a great purpose, and they are good for many things. That's the only area that I found where it's a little harder for me to see hairlines like on gold coins. So that's when I go back to the old trusted, the old reliable 60-watt bulb. And again, too, if you're using an incandescent light, 60-watt bulbs are bright enough. You don't need the 100-watt bulb that you're heating up your house and heating the coins with. You don't need that. A 60-watt is perfectly fine for showing you the coins. And try to, if you can, do it in a darkened room, because then you don't have other lights that are distracting and affecting what you see.
Righty. This one is a little bit of a long question, so bear with me. Let's assume that I'm at the point where I feel confident in my ability to assess, grade, and price coins, bid on auctions, make the rounds at coin shows, etc. Do you have any specific recommendations for how to learn more about the process of becoming a coin dealer? Are there good books on this topic, or is learning in the trenches by setting up a table at a local show a better option?
That's a great question. I didn't cover it today, but in my book there is a chapter on for beginning coin dealers, and basically it's what are the stupid things that I've done over the years that I have learned I shouldn't do them, and I wrote those things down and we put them in a book. There's a number of things that you can do. Talk to other dealers. Um, uh, get a mentor, somebody who will answer your questions. And then start small and start slow. What you should do is you want to go to a coin show. Everybody's excited about doing that, setting up at their first coin show. I remember doing that at mine. I was petrified when the first customer came by. I'm saying, gee, I don't want to price this too low, but I don't want to scare them off. All of these things run through your mind. Take a deep breath, relax, enjoy what you're doing. So start off slow. If you have a great collection of gold coins, and you're a little unsure as to whether you want to sell them or how to really price them, don't put them out. Put out the things that you feel comfortable with selling, and have a price. And the thing is too, remember, you were on the other side of that table not very long ago. Be helpful, treat them like you want to be treated. I mean, again, it's common sense in many regards, but with dealers, you have other considerations too. And I do go into that in the book. There's checklists about going to coin shows and security at coin shows and all, and how, what do you do about taking somebody's check? Remember, when you were on the other side of the table, these were all the things that the dealers had to go through. So again, enjoy it, have fun. I can look at this and say, for the last 42 years that I've done this, it's been a tremendous life. I've done something that where I might work 18-hour days, but never feel like I've worked a day in my life. It's when you do something that you really enjoy, it's fun and it doesn't seem like work. And to me, that's what the coin business has been. It's been great fun. I've made lifelong relationships with friends. I've met great collectors. I've known dealers for decades who are really my friends. So, again, there's tremendous benefits to this business and this industry, but know your limitations. If you bring out coins and you don't know how to price them and you're not comfortable with it, you're going to make it very difficult and you're not going to have a great experience. So start off slowly. And a good way of doing it too is, you talk to a dealer who is a friend of yours who you bought from, tell him what you want to do. And then you might say to him, if it's a little bit larger show, a little bit tougher to get into or a little bit more expensive, would you be interested in letting me take a case at your show? And you can set up and share with that dealer. You're helping him by sharing the expenses. You're helping him by having another pair of eyes when somebody is looking over his inventory. There's a lot of benefits to it. Some dealers will think, yeah, that's great. I wouldn't mind having you, at a show. Or you might even want to help a dealer. Start off by helping a different dealer at a show. And a lot of times you do that and the compensation is pretty good, and you might even take it out in trade as opposed to actual dollars. But starting off slow, being comfortable with what you want to do is the best way, and it's the easiest way not to make as many mistakes. And as I said, I did put a chapter in the book about it because it is important. I remember when I started and I made mistakes. I wrote things down. There were things I said, well, I'll never do that again. But that's how you learn. It's all part of the learning process. And to evolve to that point where you really enjoy it. And remember, for collectors too, coming in, sometimes it's nerve-wracking for them. They're good at what they collect. They're good at the business that they have, but their hobby is something that should be fun for them. So try to make it fun. One last thing I'll also say too is any kids who come to the show, do your best to make them feel good. I mean, we always would have some low dollar value coins in a little jar or something and say, hey, why don't you take one of these, or give them an older red book or something, because you're inspiring the next generation of collectors, and it's really important to do.
Do you recommend insuring your coins?
Yes, I mean, if you're a collector, one of the great benefits of being an ANA member is you can get collection insurance. You can also add it to your home or apartment insurance. You can get a rider on it for your coin collection. You might want to keep your coins in a bank safe deposit box because they're very secure there, but you don't have current access to them. But the nice thing is today, with everybody having smartphones, you can take pictures of your favorite coins. So if you want to look at your favorite coins before you go to sleep that night, you can do that and tuck your iPhone under your pillow so you're close to it. But all kidding aside, though, it's a serious issue. Crime, you could lose something, even natural disasters, depending on where you live. I'm in Oklahoma, and we always worry about tornadoes. So it's good to have things in a very secure location. So, and again, I'll encourage people, join the ANA. There's great benefits to it. One of them is collector's insurance, and really insuring your collection makes perfect sense.
All righty. We have a couple questions in here focused on grading. How would you compare a circulated coin with no visible wear versus an MS-63 with many deep bag marks and abrasions?
Well, the coin that's probably the more attractive coin is the AU coin, is the circulated coin. And that's not unusual. A coin like that, or coins like that, are really the exception to the rule. Generally speaking, which coins go up more? The coins in higher grades generally go up faster, hold their value longer, go down a little bit less than the lower value coins do. Except if you're talking about a lower uncirculated coin, 60, 61, 62, even to 63 grade, those coins are they're really considered generic coins in the marketplace for an average coin. A coin that is an AU or lightly circulated, even to an XF45 or so, but has a great strike, it has beautiful toning to it. Those coins, in my experience over the last 42 years, have always sold more quickly than an unattractive 62 would. So again, they will tend coins that are nice and eye appealing to you may likely be very nice and eye appealing to the next person. I've always said this, that every coin that I bought that really has great eye appeal is one of the first things that sells for me. And that's true for dealers, everywhere. A coin with great eye appeal, with great luster or tremendous toning to it is more attractive. Or even if you don't like toning, a coin that has booming luster and really shows off the details of the coin, that's more attractive than a specimen that doesn't quite make that same grade and doesn't have that same intangible eye appeal.
All righty. It was mentioned that MS-60 coins must have no wear, yet I've seen many gold coins labeled MS-60 that seem to have evident high point wear and or field disturbances. Can you explain this better?
Right. Well, the field disturbances, again, marks are something totally separate from wear. One thing that you have to remember, particularly on the older gold coins, the strike and the method of manufacture was a lot different from what we have today. And if you go back far enough to the earliest gold coins, they were done with screw presses by hand. So you can't put that same amount of pressure. So they weren't struck up as well. So now it becomes a matter of, you have a coin that is a little flat detail-wise, and it may or may not actually have wear on it. When sometimes the grading services tend to look at coins like that, particularly a little bit more valuable very early gold coins, and they give them the benefit of the doubt as to whether the coins have wear on them. Another thing too is it wear, or remember, coins weren't kept in slabs and weren't kept in capital holders or albums. They were kept in coin cabinets. And sometimes what you have is what they call cabinet friction. From opening and closing the drawers, the coin slides around a little bit. So, again, what's the difference between that and where it's almost negligible? But sometimes the grading services look at a coin, look at how it was manufactured, and make a determination that way to say, well, there's a slightest rub on the very highest point here, but we don't think that it happened because of circulation. It may have happened because of how the coin was stored. And remember, the coin is now 200 years old, and it's made of the softest metal that we've ever used for coinage, which is gold. So sometimes they're a little more forgiving. But remember this, though, too, when you're looking at that coin, if you disagree with the coin, do not buy it. Don't act in haste and repent in leisure, as the old expression goes. The theme in my book, and the theme that I have said throughout the last 40 years, is buy what you like. And that's true, whether it's collect what you like, it's buy what you like. Because if you follow that basic tenet all the time, you'll be happy with what you own. And even if it goes down in price, you still like the coin. But if you buy something because you feel like you're pressured into it, or it's hot in the marketplace, or, gee, I don't really care for the series that much, but I bought it at a real good price, it may not turn out to be something that you enjoy owning. So I think the safest advice I can ever give anybody is really just buy what you like, because you'll enjoy it more. And that's really why you're doing this. If you're doing it as your life's work, that's one thing. And dealers oftentimes buy what they feel they can sell rather than what they really enjoy. But if you're a collector or an investor, don't get caught up in things. Buy what you really like. If you like the history of shield nickels and nobody else cares about them, who cares? Buy what you're going to enjoy owning, because that's really what's important.
Mm-hmm. When parting with your long-held collections, sending them to auction can be a bit scary. Reserve or no reserve, specialty or regular. What's your take?
Well, auctions have some really good benefits to them. The benefit is, number one, that you have a very wide audience looking at your coins. So that's really important. You have to look at the auction companies too. Remember, they're in competition for your coins as well. So whether you go to, and some auction company will be mad at me because I forgot to mention their name, but whether it's Heritage or Stax or Great Collections or Legend or whoever you use, do a little comparison shopping too. For one company, your collection might be more important than another. So what you might want to do is have conversations with all of them, have a good detailed list of what you have, and just say, look, I have this many coins. This is a list of what I have. You might even want to, take some images of the nicest coins or the most attractive coins in your collection, and then offer it, more than one place. And what you do then is you can see who is interested in those coins, who may have a collection of similar type items, which will draw out even more collectors for those types of things. Talk to the auction companies. A lot of times, remember this though too, they take your coins, they're responsible for the insurance on them, they take images of them, they write descriptions, and they have no guarantee that the coins are going to sell. So you have to understand that, they have to charge a fee for this. But depending on what you have, if you have an average coin and you want to sell it and it meets whatever their minimum standards are, know that they're going to be less inclined to discount that fee to you. If you have one or a collection of 5 very expensive coins, I know situations where the auction companies are willing to share, to reduce your fee and even share in some of the buyer premium with you, because they want to have that item for you. So again, just like I said with finding the right dealer, finding the right auction company is important. And talk to them about reserves. Remember, if you place a reserve on something, are you being a little too greedy and you knock out the potential for selling it? Or are you protecting yourself from it selling too low? I will say this though, other than at small auctions, and when I say small auctions, I mean, none of the major auction houses, nobody who's advertising really, in the major publications anywhere. I've been to small auctions where coins do go at under the market prices, if you will, but at a major auction for decent coins, the likelihood of that happening is not guaranteed to be impossible, but it's pretty unlikely. There's just too much competition there. If I'm a dealer and I'm aggressively needing inventory, I'm not going to let another dealer steal the coin from the auction at a price that's well under the market. So talk to the auction companies. But be realistic about what you have. If you offered it to a dealer, what would he pay you? And then what you have to factor in is, gee, can I get more at auction? It's likely, but then you're paying a fee and it takes a time period for you to get paid as well too. So you have homework to do. Talk to dealers about what they pay for your collection, and then talk to the auction companies as well.
Alrighty, I see one or two more in the Q&A, but we are getting close to the end of our time slot. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how the giveaway will work. And then if we have time, left, we'll hit those last couple of questions. I believe we still have a few minutes, so let's hit this last question in the Q&A. Let's see. Would you say that the graded values shown on the PCGS and NGC price guides are useful references for buy and sell prices?
Well, I know that they are not as maintained as they should be. So I would say that if you're looking at them, do a comparison between the two. If you have an NGC graded coin, look at what the PCGS graded price would be and look at what the NGC price would be. But it's only a point of reference, on an inexpensive coin or on a very common coin, an 81S Morgan. I hate to keep picking on that one coin, but it's a very common Morgan in 65. It's easy to determine what that price is. If you have something that's rarer, it's more difficult to do it. And that's why using multiple sources always makes sense. But my understanding is, though, that on the both grading services, they try to keep the prices accurate, but again, with the numbers of coins that come in there, it's a little bit lower priority than grading the coins are and getting them out the door. So I wouldn't resolve to use just the PCGS price or the NGC price. I would look at multiple sources because you can really see some really wide variations between them. So look at as many sources as possible. The gray sheet, look at the Red Book even, and look at the magazines, and just look online. As we talked about eBay, look at the completed, the sold items, as opposed to looking at what's for sale, and see what coins actually brought. And again, if you start to see a little bit of a trend there, yeah, they're all around $500. This one's $450. This one's $525. Okay, then that's roughly about what your coin is worth. And you may find an outlier. I mean, if you try 5 different prices for the same thing, I throw out the highest one, the lowest one, and average the other 3, and you're pretty darn close to what the item should be. But remember too, you have to look at your source and see if you're looking at the gray sheet, you're looking at a wholesale price. If you're looking at auction comps, again, does that include the buyer's premium? And if you're looking on PCGS or NGC's website, those are probably the retail prices that they're showing. So know what prices you're trying to compare to see whether you're doing apples versus oranges or apples versus apples.
Good deal. Then that will wrap us up. Last chance, take a photo of the screen if you need to save this, write it down, however you want to record it if you would like to get your free copy. And thank you very much, Michael, for presenting. It was very informative, and I think a great resource for newer collectors or dealers to learn a lot about the hobby and get started from a very good place.
Well, thanks for everybody for listening to this, and I appreciate it very much, Leanna, for having this opportunity to present here at NNP Symposium. Of
course, we're happy to have you back. We do have 2 more presentations starting in just a couple minutes, so everyone check your schedules, and if you would like to watch either of those, we look forward to having you back.